Hello, everyone. My name is Christopher Gray, and today I'll be talking to you about weight training. This one's a kind of a fun one for me. I started this journey lifting weights probably in South Korea. Is when I really began. I was a teenager and really never lifted a weight in my life. I was 100 pounds, soaking wet, and there was a 24-hour gym right across from the dorm rooms that I was staying in, and I guess maybe it was sheer boredom or what, but I went in there and started lifting weights and got hooked. I love the culture, I love the atmosphere that I was in, and so I'm going to kind of go in a little bit in depth with that story as we go through the slides. So what is weight training? Weight training, also known as weightlifting, it's essentially adding resistance to your workouts through means such as weights, machines, even calisthenics, and using your own body weight would be a form of weight training. So, there's the external resistance like the free weights, cable machines, weight machines, and body weight. Weight training is in my opinion, the most beneficial form of exercise that can promote bodily and mental health improvements. That's just, how I feel about it. That's kind of the type of training that I went through to help give me the best improvements. And when I say both bodily and mental, I definitely mean almost more so mental. It created a kind of lifestyle and a disciplined culture for me that carried on into other aspects of my life with regards to career, school, what have you. And I definitely kind of grew up and matured in the gym. But one of the first things is weight training supports anabolic growth, and in which case then leading to fat loss. Anabolic growth is basically there's two main states you can be in, and that's anabolic and catabolic. And anabolic is basically when your body is growing, when it has enough surplus coming in, it's repairing the muscle, it's growing, and you're in a state of growth. Catabolic is if you ever get real hungry and you haven't eaten anything, and next thing you know, after some time goes on, you're no longer hungry anymore. That's your body going into a catabolic state. It's literally eating itself, and that's when you're actually breaking down instead of growing. That's a form of catabolic. So the opposite of that, anabolic, is the state you're trying to be in, and the state most weight training athletes try to be in to promote muscle gain. One of the biggest results is fat loss. The thing is, the more muscle you have, the more energy and more calories your body requires to maintain that level of size or that level of muscle. The body doesn't like having a lot of muscle on it. It adapts to the environment that it's in, so it only puts on enough muscle that it feels necessary to survive in its environment. When you go to the gym or you weight train, you make the environment harsher. Your body thinks, I am now in a harsher environment. I need to put muscle on in order to survive. Vice versa, we're in an age where it's very easy to have high-calorie foods. Your body doesn't know there's a McDonald's down the street. And so it's always, storing fat, and it never really needs to work as hard, or most of us anyway are not in that harsh of an environment. So we have to simulate that by going to the gym, by exercising, and simulate that harsh environment in order for our bodies to change and adapt. So many changes that you'll see. I threw some rather embarrassing pictures of myself while I was in Korea going through my changes. But for me, in my body type, I didn't have a lot of fat on me to begin with. I was what they would call an ectomorph, which is this type of body type where I had a very high metabolism. I can burn fat very easily. I can eat whatever I want, but it's very difficult for me to gain muscle. So for me personally, I had to eat a lot of excess foods, and really eating was the challenge, more so than the weight training itself. Everybody's body type is different, so it depends on what your body is going to be. If you're an overweight person to begin with, it's very easy for you to put on fat. The good news is it'll be relatively easy for you to put on muscle as well, but fat loss will be a challenge. For me, it was the reverse. And as I age and I grow older, I'm learning that my metabolism is now slowing down. My body type is changing, and now I need to be a little bit more cautious about what I eat, so I don't put on that excess fat, and I keep training as best I can. But as you go, you'll constantly adapt, and so that's part of weight training. Uh, Personal takeaways from muscle growth. I guess the fat loss for most people, and even for me, it began in the beginning stages of anabolic growth. When you're first weightlifting, is when you see the most results. But in order to get to those long-term goals, it does going to be requiring some consistency. And again, every body type is different, but both males and females, they have different types of muscle growth. You got to know which one is best for you and which one's best for the type of body and the type of environment that you're going to be in. Weightlifting increases metabolism. This goes hand in hand with everything I was saying before. As you're lifting, as you're building more muscle mass, more energy, higher metabolism is going to go up. So that kind of helps in assisting with the fat loss as well. Real key things here, I guess, I put a slide up saying, don't be afraid to start and to keep going. And for me, that resonates a lot because when I was 100 pounds, I would go to the gym and I would go at 3 in the morning, specifically so that nobody would be there. And I would walk to the gym by myself, and if I saw somebody else training in the gym, I would be so self-conscious of lifting the weights wrong or doing something that was embarrassing that I would either go home or I would go hide in the sauna, and then I'd come back out to see if they were gone. And if they were gone, I would train by myself. I would come during the day and I'd just watch people, and I'd see like, oh, what are they doing? But as time went on, I realized that people didn't really care too much. It was all kind of in my head. I didn't have to be afraid about making mistakes, and I just had to be consistent. I just had to keep going. And once I got into that, that really was the breaking point for me and how I got the most results. So all in all, don't be afraid to go and to keep going. It is intimidating at first, but I promise you it's well worth it in the end. In regards to improving your sleep and your mental health, it's a huge improvement. As you tire yourself, your sleep is going to obviously be more solid. Anybody who's had a good run knows that. Same thing with weightlifting. Your mental health is also going to improve. It definitely creates a stronger discipline. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand with mental health when you go in regards to weight training. In conclusion, choose some weight training next time you exercise. If it's not something you normally do, do it safely. Maybe ask somebody for some advice, but don't be afraid to go on the bench press or go on a type of weight training that you've never done before, and give it a shot and see how you feel afterwards. Some great resources for getting started: bodybuilding.com. It's a very generic website, but also very, very, very useful, especially for beginners. YouTube, especially finding motivation, bodybuilding motivational videos. I used to watch one every morning before I would go to the gym, or before I would sneak into the gym, if you will. There's various apps, journal guides, and equipment tutorials. If you didn't know how to use that piece of equipment, I'd YouTube what that was, and I'd study on how to use it. Then I'd go back and I'd go use it, and see if I was doing it correctly. So all in all, there's plenty of resources available. I'd like to thank you all for listening to this presentation. I hope you got something out of it, and thank you.